And we're live streaming. It's fun, it's okay.
I'll load it up.
You can
We-
post it.
Yeah, it's through the info. I guess it's through the info. I thought it was through your email. I thought you had to, anyhow, whatever. I'll post it.
Okay. I'll call the meeting to order again. We have a quorum. Jennifer, would you introduce our guests for today? We have on Zoom, David Gable, who's our auditor, is gonna be presenting the audit.
Yes.
And Kay Hayashi from BJH, and as well as in person, Michael Miola from BJH and John Powell, their architect, who will be presenting later. Okay, Ed Doxit, our attorney. Yeah, Doxit. Got it. First order of business is to review and approve the minutes of the last meeting. I'll accept the motion. Second,
Second.
all in favor, signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Minutes are accepted. Okay, financial reports. We have our September report, just yesterday, made a slight update, but it's materially the same as what was originally sent out, just sort of shifting of grant money. Basically, we ended the month with 47,000 in the accounts. We have in our land bank land bank initiative phase 1, 133,000 remaining of this year's funding. And for the land bank phase 2, which is the more like capital expenditure, we have 1.49, let's say, million left in that grant to spend. And we're working on a lot of those expenditures as we speak. Then if you go through the balance sheet, it just has the values of our properties, prepaid expenses, mostly insurance, and on from there. And we, balanced out at the end of the month.
Why is 128 so low?
Because there's like a whole thing where they put either the amount that we've spent, or, which is more than that, or what the assessed value is, and I believe that's the assessed value. Because I brought that up to the accountant.
It seems like,
Yeah,
given market values on the.
I know, it's a little crazy,
Slow, yeah.
yeah, but that's what we use.
Okay.
I think it comes off differently once it's spent, once we sell the property. And then, in terms of the profit and loss, yeah, we had a couple of, grant disbursements throughout the month. And we're kind of doing that more regularly now as we're spending down. Doing at least monthly, disbursements of the land bank initiative funding, as well as their project funding, through like Legacy City and our construction loan for that. General expenses, typical expenses for the month. And, we did end, net income for July through September of 80,000. That was July. I'm looking at July through September, and then September on the next sheet is kind of singled out. We did end September with a net income of 117,000. And again, our total expenses were around 30,000, which is typical for us.
Looks like anything else? Any questions?
Did you show the Zoom there? Thanks.
Alrighty, may I, we take a vote to accept these?
Motion to approve the,
Yeah. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, hands and aye. Okay. Now on to the financial audit.
We have David here from EFPR Group, who's. I think he has some slides, Eric. I hope.
Yeah, any participant can share their screen right now. Only one at a time. David,
Yes,
so we're ready for you to share your screen and give your presentation whenever you're ready.
okay. Hopefully you can see that.
Unfortunately, our screen is a little tiny, so you might have to explain a little bit more.
That's okay. It's just it's basically a PowerPoint outline that reviews the financial statement audit.
David, can you put it into full presentation mode on your end, on the side, so all the other stuff is slide is it'll just get a bigger image of your slide.
Oh, okay, I thought it was.
I mean, it is effectively, it's just not in full screen.
Huh, I just said from the beginning. Wonder why it's not showing it. Full screen to you guys.
Maybe on display settings?
Yeah.
In the
go
lower
into
right?
Presence, yeah, because I see it says in presentation mode. I think it'll get rid of all the menu bars.
Lower right-hand corner, right under your logo, it says display settings. Just to the left. There you go.
Oh.
No,
I mean,
I don't know. Oh, to the right of that, yeah, you're right. It's highlighted in gray to the right of display settings, and if you keep going, I think it's the one with the.
there's
It's like
like
a pull down screen. To the right of that still.
Yep.
That one. Weird. That usually does do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not showing it in the full screen mode.
Yeah, sometimes you have to go to file. I haven't done this in a minute. Slide, it is on slideshow. There you go, start slideshow, usually.
Yeah, I did. I hit start slideshow and
Yeah,
it's
let's try. Let's
showing from the beginning of my slides.
Well,
Weird.
don't count
We
on
can
my,
look at the hard copy.
that's fine,
Got the board copies.
that's fine. You're good, I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to make,
No, that's okay.
make,
You know.
perfectly good of enemy. I'm at the enemy of good.
So we'll go from the beginning. And I'm not sure why I'm on two different screens here, but
It is because I gave him some bad directions. Sorry, Dave.
that's okay. I don't know which screen, what are you seeing right now?
We're seeing all the slides individually.
Okay.
When you go to the slide,
Do you see them individual of one slide now?
yep, see
Okay,
one slide now.
okay. So we're here to talk about the land bank today for the year ended June 30, 2024. Our agenda today is you meet the team, the timing of our procedures, we'll cover the financial reports, the statement, and then a short little blurb about our standard report to the board. The engagement team was Tom Smith was the partner that reviewed the financial statements and the individual files. Tim Skyvey, the manager, he did the audit corresponding with your team for the audit, and I provided a technical review of the financial statements. We started the field work the week of September 23rd. We issued our statements the week on October 3rd, and today we're having the board meeting on the 16th of October. Financial results. The most important thing is that first sentence there, we'll issue an unmodified audit opinion on the financial statements. That's the highest level of assurance that we give you regarding the audited financial statements. It means it's a clean opinion. There weren't any issues. And then on the right-hand side of that slide, you'll just see that's an excerpt right out of the draft financial statements that you have. It's the balance sheet. Basically, it has your cash, your prepaid expenses, property held for sale, and then you have some capital assets that you use in the business for total assets. This year, your cash and equivalents decreased by about $62,000 from $70,000 last year to about $8,000 this year. Your prepaid expenses decreased $7,000 from $23,000 in 2023 to about $16,000 this year. Your property held for resale increased about $626,000. It was $544,000 last year. It's about $1.17 million this year. Your capital assets decreased by about $11,000 from $131,000 last year to about $120,000 this year. That's due to depreciation expense of $11,000 that was taken on those capital assets during the year. So your total assets increased to about $547,000 at June 30th, 2024. Continuing on, this is the liability section and your net position section right out of the draft financial statements again on the right-hand side. Your accounts payable decreased $15,000 from $23,000 last year to about $8,000 this year. Your accrued expenses stayed consistent this year and last year, pretty close to the same amount. Unearned revenue increased about $7,000 at June 30th in 2024. You had a line of credit this year with a balance of about it's $39,953. It's about $40,000. You had construction loans related to constructing the properties and rehabbing them. It increased about $1,700,000 from $210,000 last year to about $1.9 million at the end of June this year. So total liabilities increased about that $1.7 million to $240,000 last year. It's about $1.9 million this year. And your net position decreased $1.1 million. It was $528,000 last year in the bottom line. This year is minus $610,000 at the end of June. Continuing on, this is just a graph we put in about your financial results and net position. You can see that your net investment in capital assets, that's your capital assets that you use in a business. That's been pretty consistent and over the past 4 years. That's that blue line. The slightly orange line is the unrestricted net assets, and that's the portion that is unrestricted, and you can see that that was negative. This year it was positive in the prior years, but due to the ongoing rehabilitation expenses and things that you have in the projects, that number is now negative. This next section here is the income statement, and You can see that you had sales of property last year of about $1 million. This year, you did not have any sales. You had grand income about $424,000 this year. You had donated property of about $375,000, and you had contributions of about $36,000. So your total revenue this year is about $834,000, $835,000. Last year was almost $1,270,000. Operating expenses this year, you did not have any cost of property sold as you didn't sell any properties. Last year, you had about $1,270,000 of expenses. This year, you had an impairment loss of about $1,526,000. Last year was only 179. The rest of the line items aren't too much different than last year. And, the first two really where the biggest changes were. So your total operating expenses this year were about $1,972,000, subtracting that from the $835,000 of operating revenue, led to a net operating loss of $1,137,000. So your total net position last year was $528,000. The total net position at the end of the year this year was a minus $610,000. This is just a graph that shows your total expenses comparison between the 2 years. You can see 23 and 24. Like I said, most of the numbers are very consistent. The two big differences were in the cost of property sold, obviously not selling anything this year, selling property last year, and then the investment or impairment loss. Large number this year, smaller number last year.
Can you explain what impairment loss is?
Good question.
Sure. The impairment loss is the difference between the fair market value of the properties that you expect to sell. So you have your properties that you rehab and you're going to sell them. And when you look at what the costs that you have into those properties as far as purchasing the properties and rehabbing the properties, and less the expenses that are estimated to sell those properties, you compare that to the fair market value of those properties. And that was done by looking at sales of properties that are similar that have occurred, as well as the assessed values of those properties. And the difference between the cost that you have into it and the expected selling price of that property is the impairment loss. So GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, require you to recognize those assets held for sale at the lower of the costs that you have into it or the fair market value of those properties. So that impairment loss is the write down of those properties to the expected selling price of those properties.
Okay.
Everyone good on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that adjusted when the property is actually sold?
Yeah, if the property sells for a different price than the fair market value, you'll recognize a gain or loss on the sale of that property compared to the estimated fair market value. Every year you have to look at the fair market value and compare that to the cost that's recorded on the books and adjust that. And obviously, when you sell the property, you'll actually have a recognized gain or loss.
Alrighty.
Okay. Then just out of the next section of the financial statements, it covers the footnotes. Footnote 1 describes the organization and summarizes the significant accounting policies used by the organization. Note 2 details the property held for resale. Note 3 details the capital assets that you're using in your business. Note 4 details your construction loan that you have. You have 3 different loans in the construction loans. Note 5 discusses the line of credit that you've opened. Note 6 discusses related party transactions. Note 7 covers the pension plan that you have for your employees. Note 8 talks about commitments and contingencies as a pretty standard footnote that's in almost every financial statement that we have for our nonprofit organizations. The next section is basically, it's usually about a 3-page document that should be at the end of your draft financial statements, as we call it, the report to the board. It's what the AICPA tells us that we should tell you, as you are the responsible parties for running the land bank. This is where we would tell you if there were any issues that you needed to be concerned about. This document came out because of Enron. If anybody remembers back, I don't know how many years ago, Enron claimed that their auditors didn't tell them that they were in financial trouble and didn't tell them that they had problems going on in the organization. And the auditor said, yeah, we did. Well, there wasn't any documentation of that. So now we have to document it in this document called our report to the board. Since there aren't any issues that you need to be concerned with, this is what we would call a boilerplate report to the board. It's what the AICPA tells us to tell you when there isn't any issues going on. Basically, it talks about accounting estimates were reasonable and supported. The disclosures are neutral, consistent, and clear. We didn't have any difficulties in performing our audit. We didn't have any disagreements with management over any accounting, reporting, or audit matters. One of the things we'll obtain is a management representation letter. It's a letter from management saying they are representing that the financial statements are presented fairly. They take responsibility for those financial statements. We get that management representation letter. We can actually issue our audit opinion on the financial statements and issue the final financial statements for you guys. Any questions or discussions?
Anybody? No, no? No, I'm not hearing any questions.
Okay. I'll take that slideshow down and let you guys continue on, but that's what I have for you today. If you do have questions, please reach out, read the financial statements. Let me know if you do have questions. If you guys are approving the financial statements, just send me an email. Let me know that you approve them, and we'll get the representation letter out to management and issue the final financial statements for you.
Thank you very much, David.
Thanks.
Thank you. And I will leave the meeting and let you on to your business. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Have a nice night.
You too.
Okay,
Thank you.
Archtober, what do we want to approve? Approve the draft?
Yeah.
Yes, does anybody want to take it home and study it? All right, I will accept a motion to approve the draft audit.
We'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye, raise your hand. Aye. Okay.
Question to ask,
Sure.
and I don't know if this is the appropriate time or not, but it seems to me it would be helpful to have some of these, if not some, maybe all of these documents ahead of time. Like a couple days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days.
Sure. But they were in the
Yeah, when I send the email out, there's a link to the folder that has all the
I do
documents.
things all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Now Archtober. I don't know if it's Archtober, it makes sense that it's art, because it's architect.
I've been saying Arch.
But I say Archtober because it just hits me that way. But anyway, it was successful on our part.
Yeah, so we actually were kind of co-hosted 2 events. On Friday, we co-hosted with the Fullerton for with CPC's Access Incubator Program. And they gave kind of a mini session of their longer term program that is an educational program for BIPOC developers that are like emerging developers. Keon was there actually. And and you were there.
Was it recorded?
I don't know, but they are gonna be sending out, I have the slideshow. That's helpful, that, they're gonna be sending out stuff to folks. For all the sessions for the whole weekend, but, Yeah, so we did that, that was great, and we did a tour of, some of our properties with the CPC people that came, and because the access program actually lent money to our co-developer and contractor, Carlos, and CPC is obviously funding, our homeownership program right now. So we went and saw a couple of the projects. We also went and saw 143 Washington because CPC is also the construction lender on that. And so that was great. And then on that Saturday, Sunday, the 6th, we had the walking tour, which we did. We started here, we did in conjunction with Rubco. So we just highlighted all of the work that has been done on Lander Street since the land bank started, which is pretty impressive. We have these, we create these pamphlets.
If you don't have one of these, take a look.
That shows the 95 units that we have created or about to create on Lander Street, 38 homes total.
This is very.
And,
Walking up to me and saying, I have no idea how much land bank that's
yeah, yes.
in the making.
And this is just, and it even to me,
I know, even if I was like, wait, I was like making the list and I'm like, oh my god. And when you, especially when you count the units, and just all the different ways in which, 15 of those properties were through Rubco, which is very impressive, but then the others were either done through, the land bank doing the rehabs for home ownership or selling to other people who did their own rehabs. So it's, the Habitat doesn't have any on Lander actually, but, they, the combination of affordable rental, affordable home ownership, market rate, it just really shows kind of a healthy, vibrant block that once was really, a place that a lot of people were not comfortable being on. So, we really, hope that people who have lived there for a long time, have been able to stay, that's the point, and but also creating, filling all that need for affordable housing by bringing back all of those units or creating new units in the case of new construction, to add to the housing inventory that's so desperately needed right now. And that's just Lander Street.
yeah.
Then we ended the tour at Rubco, at the High Point building on Liberty Street, and we went in, and had a presentation by, Melanie Collins, who's overseeing that space, Black Hudson and Lane Community. And she talked about a lot of the programming that's going on there, which is pretty exciting. So I think it was very positive, and then people had free cupcakes from Hudson Valley Cheesecake, which uses that space for, their commercial kitchen, to make these amazing cheesecakes and other pastries.
And then there was I forget what the official name of it was, but the presentation, people did different presentations.
Oh, that was, I didn't stay for that, but
Me
that
neither.
was the Pecha, what is it, Pecha?
At the end of.
Yeah.
our show.
That was kind of like the end of the weekend, where people presented different ideas, I guess, around this idea of architecture and preservation.
I think it was really successful. The thing that can be replicated.
So I don't know, okay, we wanted to go to
Yes,
BJH. so
Yes.
Here,
we'll skip down to BJH and their presentation.
That's great.
so
Eric, you. We'll let you.
Yes, thank you.
On the screen share.
let's see how our tech goes.
Jen, did you, this,
I'm sorry, it's in the downloads.
is in the downloads? Okay.
It should be the first thing.
Okay.
It's just a PDF, I think.
Yep. I don't know, will people be on the other side be able to see? It doesn't, we're just gonna be looking at it from this side.
I don't know if you share it.
Share the screen, I'll share the desktop. Actually, do the desktop here.
you do it like hybrid, it's like more complicated, like you're just on a Zoom.
Yeah.
Want to go full screen? Oh, it's-
We have Benjamin's here.
No, that's fine. It's just there's usually a full screen option here.
This.
Thanks.
Oh, paper. Right, Jeff?
Okay, there we go. Sorry,
It makes sense.
there's typically a full screen option here. You may just flip through this page. It says you get- Not at all. Yep.
I can do it. Hi, I'm Michael Miola again. I'm here with, for BJH Advisors. My business partner, Kay Hayashi, is on the, online. And I'm here with John Powell, who's our architect, to talk about 143 Washington Street. As you all know, we've been working on this since 2020, about 4 years. I'll go through it really fast, so slow me down if anybody has questions, and anything architectural, of course, refer to John. You can go forward.
Okay.
And it's only 12 slides, so it's not gonna take long. So just quickly on project goals, the design of the building, our social service partner, a little bit about us, BJH, and our partner. Project schedule and sources and uses of funds and funding requests. Go forward. Yeah, originally, when we put the RFP in, we wanted to do a mixed use and market and affordable project. And of course, it evolved over time to being entirely affordable. We really wanted to create a great asset for the community, restore the row house and build on the vacant corner. The building that we've designed is highly energy efficient. And again, if people have questions, John can talk about that. It's all electric, no gas, air source heat pumps, high R values. It'll be enterprise green communities. And it's 100% affordable building with supportive housing component. You go forward. And of course, these are some renderings of the outside. We're renovating the existing shell and building on the corner. The project has been approved by the ARC and the planning board. It's also been approved by SHPO and National Park Service with a in-hand Part 2 application for historic tax credits. So we are, the project is 15 residential units, 4 units per floor, except on the ground floor, 3 units. 7 studios, 4 1-bedrooms, 4 2-bedrooms. All the units are at 50% of AMI or 65% of AMI. And 5 of the units are dedicated to supportive housing through the state's ESHI program, 5 of the 15. I think we can go through this really quickly, but I have the floor plans if anybody wants to talk about any details. You know, they're very compact, but they're very well designed, and John, of course, again, can talk about that, but we'll keep going and keep going.
Are they all walkouts?
Sorry, yeah, it's 3 stories plus the ground floor, so it is walk up.
The ground floor has accessible units, so there is a grade entrance for the ground floor.
Gotcha.
Right, yeah, so the main entrance is in the front, and then the ground floor units can also be accessed off of Federal Street in the back. And you can keep going. So these are the the elevations that were approved the second round at ARC and the planning board. So I mean, on the right in this view is the existing shell, and then on the left is the new construction, which will have, it's a kind of a wood or
It's like a,
like a clapboard, but
it's a clapboard product, it's a wood composite material, so, yeah.
yeah, and it'll sort of mirror the existing house with a stoop. So one unit will actually be accessed. The second floor unit, 2-bedroom, will be accessed off of Washington. But all the units can be also accessed through the main door. And keep going. So we're very excited to have partnered with the Osborne Association on the 5 recorded units. They are a 100-century-old social service agency that supports individuals and families impacted by the criminal justice system. Osborne is in Newburgh and has been for, I don't know for how long, but a number of years. They operate programs at 388 Ann Street. And they're an experienced provider of supportive housing, and they've recently moved into the ESHI sort of program. They have opened 52 units in Brownsville, Brooklyn in 2022, and they have, I think, 2 more buildings in construction. So Osborne got the ESHI designation for the 5 units in 2021, and they will be providing services to the 5 ESHI tenants out of the Ann Street location. And the target population are formerly incarcerated individuals, age 50 and up. And we can talk about that some more if anybody wants to. Just a little bit about us, the developer. We're BJH Advisors. We're economic development consulting firm based in New York, and we're also an emerging developer. We are an MWBE business certified by New York City and New York State. And we are also currently co-developing a 25,000 square foot building on Governor's Island in New York City, which will be commercial in nature. And then we have also partnered with our general contractor, CPX Project Management. They're a New Jersey-based general contractor and construction manager. I've known the principal of CPX, Mike DiGiacomo, for almost 20 years, and in a prior position, he was a director of construction for a large developer, mainly market and affordable housing. And they do have experience in the Hudson Valley. They've done work in Middletown and Kingston, etc. The thing that we want to really stress is that this is a shovel-ready project. We, as mentioned before, we have ARC and planning board approval. We have a full set of construction drawings, compliments of John. We've been in and out of the building department, and really all we have to do is give them a check for $36,000 to get the building permit. We've also been tentatively approved by our lender, the Community Preservation Corp, CPC, and also tentatively, we understand through CPC, tentatively approved by HCR for the PLP program. They're actually taking us to, CPC is taking us to their loan committee tomorrow. And they have everything, so we expect it to be a positive outcome. We would like to schedule, with that, we will, schedule a closing, and it'll probably be in the first quarter of 2025. We hope to make this year, but there is HCR stuff to get through. 14 to 18 months of construction, and opening in 2026. And then, we've been, thrilled to partner with, with the land bank for the last 4 years, and they designated us and, supported us through this whole design and approval process. We've understood, for quite some time that the land bank could make land bank initiative funds available. So we were, on the uses side of the project, it's about a $4 million project, 3.9 million, about 260,000 per unit. And again, I should mention that we've bid the project with CPX twice, including again last spring, and actually this summer. So, we've had a gap because construction costs went wild. And what we've done, we've worked to BE it, and, we sort of narrowed the gap. We were able to increase our loan, and Kay will, if you have questions about our financials, Kay will probably talk to them. We were able to get our CPC loan up a little bit. We also recently qualified for an additional program, HCR's Clean Energy Initiative, CEI. And we're pretty certain we'll get 87,500 through that program for energy efficiency. There's a possibility, and it may take another little bit of investment, that there's a third goal that we could get an additional 12,500 per unit times 7 units. So there's a little bit of movement there. And if we can qualify for it, and if we have to invest a little bit more per unit, we'll increase the R values and the ventilation. But again, that's to be determined. So there's a remaining gap. We were advised by CPC to ask the land bank to increase the land bank initiative funds to fill the gap. The thing that I can say is that the borrower's equity, we're targeting 15%, about $600,000. We spent about 200,000 to date. We have the balance of the 400 sitting in CDs. So, we are able to perform. We have, and so, if the land bank can bring that up into the range that we're talking about, or we can have other conversations with HCR, we're confident we can get there. But again, we are asked to bring this to you and present the financials with the request for the increase. And I'm really happy to take questions.
Questions. Page 2 of your packet,
Sure.
is that that says do not enter?
Yeah.
Is that Federal Street?
Yes.
Okay, right. Now, what about this garage? Is that part of your property?
Yes. It would be demolished.
It's above.
Yeah.
Now, I know St. George's Cemetery is right behind all this, but where are all these trees? Are they down or up over on St. George's property, if you could?
Yeah, they're in the cemetery.
In
So, yeah, it's a very small lot. It's 25 feet wide, only 75 feet deep. So it has a compliant backyard, but it's a small lot.
There was a conversation had a number of years ago when we developed East Parliament Street. That ends at the cemetery, and at the end of East Parliament Street, you can possibly see it by looking at this photo. There was a wide area where they talked about putting a little community park in. It wasn't much, but we had some ideas that if we could put some park benches in and maybe some other things where the community could gather, it would be helpful, especially when the mothers with brooms could come out to defend their property. Think about it, maybe somebody can make that come alive.
Yeah, I really like the Federal Street and the way it bends around the perimeter. It's really charming, and I think our building will add to that because our tenants will be coming and going on Federal, so there'll be a little bit more traffic there.
Another question on page 8 of your packet. I'm assuming those are plantings coming out of the roof. And there's money.
Yeah,
So what's the idea?
That was gonna be my question, right?
you know, we discussed and, putting a roof deck up, but we took it out for value engineering reasons. So,
What will be up there?
um,
Anything?
basically a roof,
No
we-
solar panels?
We have been having discussions with two solar firms, Uncommon and another one. And so far we have, the size of the project, we haven't found a firm that will finance the solar component. That is definitely something we're still open to exploring, but we've been having a little bit of hard go with that.
If you haven't looked at New York State Solar Farm, that's the one, I researched Uncommon and I wasn't happy with a lot of the stuff I found out. So I went with the State Solar Farm.
I just used some New York Solar Farm as well.
That's the name of a company.
Yeah, their offices in Roseville.
SSF. New York State Solar Farm.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be calling them tomorrow.
I mean, there is nice SERTA funding, but it doesn't obviously cover.
Oh, Lisa said it.
Yes, that's it. The chair.
No, I think I get a discount,
actually. Oh, we get $500.
If you refer somebody.
Yeah, anything you can do, I know you're really making an effort bringing it up with the, and I think it's smart to go all electric, but just,
Yeah.
the gas is. Fascinating. Did you say it was heat pumps or?
Yeah, so there'll be air source heat pumps.
For the units and for the hot water.
I'm curious, how are you doing that for the hot water? Does each individual,
Then we're doing air source heat pump tanks in the cellar, so it's like,
In the cellar.
yeah.
so they'll have the amount of intake space in the basement. So that
They're
you
kind of
always
just out in the open, in this like big open area in the cellar where people can store bikes and there's
Oh,
like
that's
laundry
interesting.
machines down here.
And then they each individually go to their link to each unit, or
No, so
Or
it's,
you have on the hot water.
there's like, I think it's like 4 or 5 of them for the whole building.
So it's shared hot water?
Yeah, so hot water isn't included. in the-
Interesting, oh, okay. Well, because we were looking at doing that, but it was in the units, they're so small in the building. We couldn't, and every apartment unit is metered,
Mhm.
that we couldn't really fit it in a louvered closet and get the amount of space that we needed to.
In our, well, I mean, our first iteration of the design, we actually had on-demand electric units for each apartment, but we couldn't get the amount of power.
The amount of power, exactly,
They
they need a
wouldn't
lot
give
of
us an
amps.
upgrade big enough for that.
Yeah, that was the issue, and that's why we used to think this hot water units, because that's the hardest, I think, to think of, to get away from.
Mhm. But these heat pump, they're inexpensive to operate. And I think, we have the space in the cellar, and we have the air bubble, so we like that.
Fantastic, thank you.
How much power is going to the building so far, or approved already?
That's a good, I can look that up. I don't know.
You know, we did actually have Central Hudson come out and met with our electrician. And they said that they would put a transformer, I think on the pole across the street. So again, I'm not technical in that space, but they did come out. We did verify that we could get the power that we designed.
We brought it back, we asked, we needed more, but they couldn't provide it, so then we brought the number down.
I think that's one of the challenges that everybody's running into, wanting to go all electric, is
Yeah.
there's limitations in the service that you can get, yeah.
So what is the additional goal that you would have to meet to get the additional CEI money?
So there are 3 goals in the term sheet, and we're confident we meet the first 2 goals. The third goal, I believe actually would require, and I believe it's going to, we haven't diligenced it, it will require Eric's, what is the term, within the ERV?
Here, yeah.
Yeah, so the question that really we need to sort of evaluate is, you know, upgrading, you know, redesign the HVAC system and upgrade, you know, will the additional subsidy basically cover that?
The air sealing requirements and the insulation requirements to get to the third goal basically almost reach passive building levels.
Yeah.
So you have to have the ERV system to pump in fresh air.
That's an energy recovery.
Energy recovery, yeah, recovery ventilation.
Yeah.
So,
And then, you know, so I mean, if we would do it, if we could, you know, so we're actually in the process of hiring an energy consultant, so to just verify that. Surprisingly running into people being busy and being expensive, so. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
I can answer the electrical question.
Yeah.
We are getting, 3-phase 800 amps, which wasn't enough for all this novel.
Thank you.
Kate, did you want to add anything?
No, just if there's questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
I don't have anything. Anybody? I looked at this, other directions.
Do you have laundry?
Yeah, yes, so, all of the units except, the studios and I think one of the 1-bedrooms have laundry in the unit.
Oh, great.
And then there's a laundry setup in the basement for the common units, and I just wanted to look. I think we have double stack, I think we have 2 sets of double stack, yeah, I'm reading that right. So the ground floor will have basically 3 units, bicycle storage, laundry, and there's a very, very small living office, it's a closet basically.
I was gonna ask, are there any services going to be in that building?
I mean, not really, I mean, we're gonna landscape the backyard, we're very excited about that. You know, there's not gonna be, obviously not gonna be a dwelling.
No, I mean, services for the case, yeah, like a case manager.
Yes,
On
so,
site.
right, well, it won't be on site, Osborne will be operating, out of their Ann Street office. And, yeah, we looked into, you know, we actually looked extensively into having them on site in the commercial, originally it was gonna be a commercial space on the corner. And in the end, Osborne decided that it was a nice to have an office on site, but not a must have. And so we decided to go and add an additional residential unit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
In a former iteration of the design, there was actually more of a commercial storefront at the ground floor, but Shippo wouldn't let us.
Shippo didn't love it with that,
So it transitioned to punched windows, and then that felt more conducive to like residential.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is your laundry room gratis or is it coin operated?
I think it'll be crowded.
And what happens when those washing machines and dryers fail? How are they replaced? Where does that money come from?
You know, we have.
We have a replacement. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Michael.
Your turn. I asked the question.
Oh, I was just going to say, we have budgeted a replacement reserve, and we understand that with 15 units, there are going to be breakages. So we're planning on replacements.
Yeah, we've actually put a lot of effort into the operating and, you know, we did our own underwriting and then CPC kind of went over it and, you know, they asked us to, you know, bring it up to certain places. You know, so, you know, with these financials, we feel good about it. It's very challenging, as you know, 50% of AMI and 65. But, you know, if we can get, you know, if we can keep it at this level, you know, we feel good about operating it, and then we will hire a professional, you know, management company in Newburgh.
Yeah. I mean, our plan is to build it to last. I think that is some of the material choices that we've made with John, our architect, and we will be making further choices during the construction process. I think that's kind of the goal.
Oh, if you get those stackables,
Mhm.
make sure you can replace one or the other, because I didn't. And if one goes, they both go.
If you have any recommendations, please let us. Do you have a particular brand or other that you recommend?
Oh, I don't, but I know they exist and I just wasn't smart enough at the time. Mine are still going. They're 6 years, 7, 8 years old. They're fine.
We put, the wife and I put stackable in our condo unit in Florida. And we did the GE because it was the smallest and least expensive. And it was money wasted. It's terrible.
Oh.
It sounds like stuff rattling around. The lid keeps popping up on the washing machine. It's calling people down. I've subsequently seen where you can get 2 units slightly bigger and stack them yourself.
Yeah,
They look so much more sturdy than
You're-
the 2.
You're just getting, I mean, not to belabor the laundry thing, but you're getting, like resident, not commercial type.
Well,
So
people probably just buy a really, high quality, residential brand. It'll get wear and tear.
right, but it's not many units that would use it.
Right, exactly, right, but I think it's 4 units.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? This has been illuminating. I appreciate it.
do you have a pro forma of the operating?
We do, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I can send it to Jennifer. I probably have. So if I haven't.
not, maybe not the most up to date.
Right, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, sure.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Great to hear
Okay.
from you.
Good, thank you, thank you
Good
all.
to see you again.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. You, Michael.
Okay. Thanks, Eric. Okay, we're gonna head outside.
Good,
Thanks, John.
No, they go, help.
Don, you still with us?
I am.
Nope. Oh, we muted. All righty. Is there anything that we could put on for November?
Yeah, I mean, the rest of these things are all just updates, they're not.
Yeah, I think I'd really like to, I don't know how long this BOA meeting is lasting, but I'd like to make an effort to get over there. We can move into executive session because I think that's very important concerning employee salary increases.
If I could, it sounds like, if I could chime in, it sounds like you want to move into an executive session to discuss the employment of a particular person.
Persons,
The
yes.
increases directly are not a valid reason to go into executive session.
It's not.
Oh, no? When do we need to go into executive?
Well, you never have to, right? The executive session is always discretionary. It's a may, you never have to.
Okay,
I'm just pointing out that the statute says you may go into executive session to discuss the employment, the employment history of a particular person. I think that's what you're going to do.
That's one of the reasons to be able to go into executive session. The other is when you're consulting with your attorney.
Well, that's entirely different. That's not executive session at all. You're always welcome to meet privately with counsel to seek and receive legal advice. That's
I
outside,
see.
that's outside the confines of a meeting. But I'm happy to, if you want to meet privately to talk about what you want to do, I'm happy to give you the advice. But if you want to, you've already sort of announced, I guess you want to talk about the salary of an employee or perhaps more than one employee, I don't know.
I mean, we can leave if you want, and you don't have to be in executive session.
Well, but we are
the
being
proper-
filmed.
Right.
The proper motion is just, if you want to discuss it privately, is to make a motion to enter executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular person. That's the
I
motion.
so move.
I'll second it.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay,
So we
And
don't
then-
have to make a motion.
Cut that fee.
and then you'll stop the stream.
We should, I'm sorry.
No.
We should, put on our calendars items such as these and when they're coming due. And address them before they come due.
You're absolutely right,
We
Jerry.
really need to.
I think it was just the last meeting was, went over, so there wasn't time.
But not just this,
Oh.
about anything
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do with the, our bylaws, they should always be reviewed. All that kind of stuff.
Isn't there a committee?
Well, you have a governance committee that ideally should be meeting at least on an annual basis, if not more often, to review those policies. And just for the
That's
benefit of the
true.
public, when you came out of executive session, we want to announce that that action was taken in executive session, and minutes will be available in accordance with the public officers law.
Okay. So we did take action on personnel matters. And they will be recorded in the minutes and will be available for the public. Okay. Do we try to set a governance meeting? Now, let me think about this. Let me look at all the stuff. I need to get information to all the new board members about what's going on in this place.
Hey, that's a great idea.
Isn't that wonderful? And I keep saying, I'm gonna do that. Oh, I will. Tree planting, Saturday.
Saturday, we're planting
Saturday.
2 trees and 40 perennial plants in front of 59 and 63 Lander.
It's a lot of perennials.
They're huge tree pits.
No,
They're
no,
like-
oh, you're gonna fill up. the trees
They're like
with-
20 feet long.
Right.
So I don't, they have like a master gardener and arborist that has advised on what to plant.
Wonderful.
And the environmental justice fellows have been, are gonna be there, and they've been knocking on doors and, on all along Lander Street, I guess, to find out what people who want trees and, you know, want to take care of them and so forth. And I think they'll be doing more of that on Saturday.
What time that starts?
It's from 12 to 1.
I don't
Oh, sorry, 1 to 2.
Yeah.
It won't be very long.
All right, how's everybody for November 20th? For the next board meeting? It's on,
I think.
Yeah.
please look down. When do you go to Florida, Jeff?
End of the year.
Like during the holidays?
Yeah.
After hurricane season?
Definitely after. We got walloped down there with the first one of those hurricanes, not, what is it, Milton, what was the other club?
Helene?
There's beach dunes that are now behind the buildings in the road.
Yeah.
A friend of mine just drove down there. He's staying in our condo unit. And it just looks like there was some damage around. But swimming pools filled up with sand.
What part of Florida?
It's on the west coast. Longboat Key near Sarasota,
Okay, so you were right in the.
right in the eye of the storm. Yeah, very around that, yeah.
Yes.
Those are the ones they said, get off, or you're not gonna make it.
You're not gonna live.
The amazing part of the whole thing is the storm surge.
It's on.
There's a wall of water that comes in.
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt the hurricane talk, but
Sorry.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So.
Okay. We'll have a busy agenda next month. Please let us RSVP and I'll yell at the other. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Now, $3,000.
More to vote on next month, because we were trying to put out.
And then Jackson.
Contractors.
Okay,
And we will be releasing very soon, we have a flyer prepared already for the other two buildings that we're selling, 36 Lander and 39 South Mill. So
You mean to market them or something?
yeah, market.
How many units?
136 Lander is